What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV. Today I've got my update 1.09 video for you for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It's been a couple days since the update. The update came out on the 14th of February. It is now the 16th of February. I usually post these videos on the day of or the day after an update, but I just didn't find that necessary this time around simply because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not behind on content. I'm not slacking off by any means. I'm just sitting here waiting for the rest of the update to join us in this game. So I believe there will be a subsequent update either tomorrow on the Friday or next Tuesday, something like that. They do have to update the weekly playlist, the weekly featured playlist tomorrow. So I'm strongly leaning towards the update coming out tomorrow, this big Quartermaster update that should be happening. You might argue that there's already been a Quartermaster update. They added in all these variants. Those variants were bullshit, and we all know it. And they only added in like 5 of each little thing. Like they added like 5 new accessories, and they added 5 calling cards, and they added a few camos here and there. But they didn't really add anything worth the 2.7 gigabytes of data that we got for this update. This update was 2.7 gigabytes on PlayStation 4. That's 2,700 megabytes. That's a lot of space, and nothing through reading these patch notes, through seeing the changes in-game, nothing gets me going, oh yeah, that was 2.7 gigabytes. They definitely stored some files in this game, and data miners have already found different files on Reddit. Things that are pretty questionable, like new bribes, like Quartermaster bribes, weapon and combat rig bribes that you can activate. There are 2 new weapons, and I'm strongly leaning towards them being completely original weapons, one of which does look very similar to the Type 2, and it could be a Type 2 epic variant. But they both look like brand new weapons to me. I'm leaning towards brand new weapons. The axe melee weapon that we've discussed on this channel in previous videos, which I will link in the description down below and cards in the top right corner, is also rumored to be coming in the next Quartermaster update. And these images have been leaked. I can't show the images, but there have been images leaked from the actual in-game update center. So if you click on, I think it's L2 when you're in your menu system, you can open up this update center, and normally you can go through like tab L2, R2 through the little notifications and see all of the different things. Well, right now, as you can see on screen, I'll put up a screenshot, you can go to the 3rd page of these updates, but 4th and 5th pages of these updates are actually non-accessible right now. And where did they find all of the leaked new images of the weapons and the melee weapons and all that stuff? Well, it was from the daily update center. So the pictures that they found of the new weapons actually belong to the 4th and 5th slot on this update center that it's already in the game. So if they're not putting them in this weekend, I don't know when they're going to put them in, but it definitely seems like we're going to have another update coming soon. So I've been holding off on my Quartermaster stuff. I advise you to do the same. Hold on to your keys. Do not spend COD points. It's a colossal waste of money at this point. We're going to have new weapons, a whole bunch of new items coming to the game very soon. So you've been warned. Hopping into the patch notes of the update that we did receive now, I don't believe everything that has been changed has been included in the patch notes as usual. There are some weapons that have been performing very strangely recently. A lot of people have been bringing up combat rigs doing different things than they used to. There are some changes to challenges that I've noticed that I will point out in this video, but for the most part I'll be going through the actual patch notes, the big points of the patch notes, the things that you might actually care about. There's a bunch of little glitch fixes and stuff as usual, but for the most part I don't think you guys really care about MLG TV. They fixed like 15 things about MLG TV crashing when you try to view it in Infinite Warfare. I don't know who watches that, not me, so I won't be covering that, but I will be covering all of the little changes that you might actually be interested in, and some of the changes that are not mentioned in the patch notes that you might find interesting as well. So starting off, we finally have a lobby party indicator. So when you are in a lobby, you can see who is in a party. They put a little tab in different colors next to their name. So now you can see who is a group of sweaty tryhards that's about to completely rape your asshole before you get into a game, which is pretty great. I mean, when you get into a lobby and you see like 6 guys that are all around the same level and they all kind of have similar names, and you're looking at them and they all have like a 150 win streak and they all have crazy high KDs, you're like, I wonder if those guys are together. And then they get in the game and they completely just dominate you and you can't walk straight for a week. Yeah, you're going to be able to know who those people are now, which is pretty great. Another thing that's pretty great about the lobbies, things that should have been in the game from day one if you ask me, but we can now see the team balance in the pre-match lobby. So when you go to start a game, when it does the countdown, it's going to show you who's on what team now, which it never did before until you got into the game. So now when you're in the lobby, it will actually show your team in blue and the enemy team in red, like standard Call of Duty stuff. Thank God we finally have this stuff in the game. Keeping with the theme of thank God we finally have this in the game, combat records are finally here. They didn't go live the moment the patch went out, as a lot of other things did, but they followed the scheme of the leaderboards with the last update, and they kind of came out a couple hours later. Now, you might be saying like, oh, well, combat records, that's probably what took up the 2.7 gigabytes. Like, combat records are huge. They have all these different menu systems. Like, come on. Combat records have actually been in the game for weeks without a lot of people's knowledge. Last week, there was a testing session with the combat records. I was actually live streaming at the time, and combat records just went live because they were testing them out. And you could go in and every single menu system that's in there now, all of the different, your best rig and your best streak, all of that was accessible last week before they turned it off like an hour later, because that's all they wanted to do. They were just testing it and then they were perfecting it or whatever they were doing, but they're finally officially in the game and they shouldn't be going offline again anytime soon. Alright, let's kick it up a notch and step away from the patch notes for a moment while we discuss my most favorite change to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Since the most recent update, I'll advise you now that once it has been seen, it cannot be unseen. So if you don't want your experience in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare tarnished from now to the end of time, or at least until the next update, I highly advise that you click off this video. I'm laughing, but I'm extremely serious. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen at any time when you're playing a match, you will see a random strand of letters and numbers strewn across the screen. It may sound ridiculous, but this is driving me freaking bonkers. I'm just staring at these numbers now. Like, I'm literally standing in lobbies. My KD is just dropping by the minute, and I'm looking at these numbers like, what the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? I'm like staring at them like non-stop. Once they've been seen, they cannot be unseen, let me tell you, and they're going to drive you nuts, like, ugh. But those are there now, so that's lovely. It's like we're playing a beta version of the game again with like random shit just on the screen in different places that shouldn't be there. They've also changed the diamond camouflage. The diamond camouflage was pretty bad before, if you ask me, but they've made it bad in a different way, kind of like what they did with the flag camouflages, where they made them different, but they were no better. So the original diamond camouflage looked like glass. Now it looks like crumpled tinfoil. I was never a fan of either diamond camouflage, so it doesn't really affect me. But you guys might be pissed off to know that diamond camouflage has been changed. The final change I've noticed that isn't mentioned in the patch notes that I can guarantee you has changed, like apart from weapons feeling differently than they once did that they might not have told us about, are a couple challenges in the victory section of operations. So demolition wins and reinforce wins. These are of course featured playlists that rotate through every couple weeks. These originally required 50 wins like every other game mode in the entire game. They now require 25. I sat through and I got 50 wins in both game modes. Like, I grinded my freaking ass off to get 50 wins in both game modes, and now they've just, oh yeah, you only need 25 now. So anyone that isn't done those challenges, maybe you're done now, or maybe you'll have a much better chance of getting done the next time those game modes come through. Back to the good old patch notes once again. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot in these patch notes that I really needed to touch on, so I've kind of saved them for the end of the video. But Drop Zone has been touched up, which leads me to believe that we'll have Drop Zone back for this week's featured playlist, which I really, really hope isn't the case, because I feel like a broken record, but we want grind. Those of us that are going for challenges want grind. Like, that's the last challenge that I really have to do as far as all of my operations go, is get those grind challenges done. I want to see grind in this game at some point. If they bring back Drop Zone, we riot. But Drop Zone definitely seems like the game mode that will be coming back this week, as it has had a bunch of changes like score limit, adjustments to rotations, and a bunch of other stuff. The Vulture has had a damage, speed, and acceleration nerf. If you didn't know, the Vulture recently got a buff and it made it one of the best score streaks in the game. It is still one of the best score streaks in the game, hands down. It's still very powerful. It kind of had a pseudo buff, because instead of flying all around the map and killing a guy here and there, it will now just hover in one spot and just massacre anyone that approaches it. it, so it's still a very powerful score streak. It's still one of the best. Last but not least, I've got some Sage Wisdom for those of you that have stuck around to the end of the video. Tracker now counters Dead Silence. The Perk 2 Tracker is now probably the best Perk 2 in the entire game. You can hear people while they're boosting, even if they have Dead Silence equipped. Pretty nuts. I highly advise you put on all of your classes. But that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Hopefully we get a Quartermaster update maybe tomorrow, maybe next Tuesday. If we do, I'll have a Quartermaster update video and a supply drop opening video. But that is in the future. For now, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.